Hey everyone, Reflected here. Today, I want to talk you through the syllabus of my upcoming Topgun 1969 campaign called MIG Killers. Before I do that, however, I want to address two questions that were recurring under my campaign announcement video. It received a very warm welcome with lots of kind words of encouragement, which I really appreciate, so thank you. Some people asked why I didn't do a 1970s USAF weapons school campaign, since they used the E model, the school was at Nellis, so no workarounds needed. Great idea actually, and that was my #1 plan as well. But as I started digging, I found a lot of detailed information on the lessons and tactics taught at Top Gun, but I found next to nothing about the weapons school syllabus. Without any info, I can't make a campaign. I just can't make stuff up. Also, the advanced tactics taught at Top Gun are really fun and exciting. You'll see why if you watch this video. And don't worry, I have a future project for the Air Force guys out there too. Also, something else I couldn't comprehend. People are okay with flying over Normandy in an ME-109K rather than a G. Or fly the Yalu campaign with a Hardwing Sabre without slats. Or go on a night bombing oboe mission in a fighter bomber Mosquito. The difference between these models in combat is much more drastic than the difference between the F4E with the slats turned off and the Hardwing B. Yep, nobody complained about those. Everyone just accepted that this is what we have in DCS. Use their imagination and enjoy the missions. Yet, the horror of having to fly an F4E with Navy markings is where some people draw the line. I find it weird, but okay, nobody's forcing anyone to do anything. It's like pineapple on pizza. If it's blasphemy for you, don't eat it. Your loss. As I said, I'll remake the campaign for the Navy version 2 when it comes, which, by the way, won't be a B either, but a later model probably. You're more than welcome to wait another year for it, or maybe 2, or 5. Nobody knows. Your call. Now move on. So, let's have a look at the syllabus, shall we? Before you begin, the campaign starts with an intro mission where you arrive at Indian Springs. Your character is called Soupy, Jester is your Rio, and the other crew invited from VF-142 Ghost Riders is Flash and Bull. There will be 2 more crews from your sister squadron, VF-143 Puking Dogs, Boomer and Clam, and Gringo and Dusty. There may or may not be some unexpected events in this mission, which are strictly based on my research, not a figment of my imagination, but no spoilers. After the opening ceremony, the first hop is a familiarization flight. In real life, the instructor sat in the front with the student in the back. He demonstrated a few maneuvers, they landed, refueled, swapped seats, and took off again. In DCS, I cannot make the AI fly the jet for you from the front seat, so the first part will be a video, and the actual mission will begin at the ramp after your jet got refueled. You'll learn how to push your Phantom to the edge of the envelope and beyond. Practice maneuvers that crews had never dreamed of performing during their normal training. You learn how to maximize your turn rate, how to handle high AOA, and practice the maneuvers that will allow you to master the vertical and control the fight. This flight will also be a bit of an introduction to the procedures around the range. The second hop is a 1v1 against an F-86, simulating the MiG-17. You learn how to use lag pursuit to turn with the MiG, how to perform lag rolls to stay within the missile's envelope, and how to control the fight using the famous egg maneuver. Each exercise will load as a separate mission, which you can choose to repeat as many times as you like without having to start up and take off again, just like in Speed and Angels. They start in active pause while the exercise is explained to you in great detail, complete with chalkboard drawings, as if you were sitting in the briefing room, or in our case, the stolen trailer office. Next, you'll fly a 1v1 against an F-5, simulating the MiG-21. It's faster than the Sabre and has much more thrust available, so you'll have to adapt your tactics accordingly. You'll learn about the difference between a 1-circle and a 2-circle fight, and some tricks about how to force your game plan onto the bogey trick him into doing what you want. Hop 4 is a 2v1, 2 Phantoms against an F-86. Well, you'll learn how to use teamwork to defeat a more maneuverable enemy. This lesson will be focusing on drag and bag tactics. You bracket the bogey, so he'll have to pick one fighter to attack. The engaged fighter starts baiting him into exposing his 6, while the free fighter goes up into an egg and comes back down and kills the bogey. If not, the bogey has to defend, so the fighters swap roles and the former engaged fighter now becomes free. A note, all these missions are randomized. So maybe the bogey will attack you, maybe your wingman. You can never be sure. Hop 5 is the very essence of the entire Topgun syllabus. You'll master loose-deuce tactics against a single F5. It starts the same way. The fighters fly 1.5 miles a beam, bracket the bandit, forcing him to pick one to attack. But you can't drag or bait the faster F5. The engaged fighter maneuvers and forces the bogey to turn and deplete his energy, while the free fighter goes up into the vertical, then comes back screaming to position himself into the missile's firing envelope. Like two hands in boxing, the fighters trade roles of free and engaged until one of them kills the F5. You'll see this is really neat tactics, very fluid, both fighters fighting as equals. For the sake of comparison, the USAF still used World War II-ish tactics at this time, so the engaged fighter was expected to get the kill, while the free fighter stayed out of his way and cheered. Then on the second run, you'll learn how to use loose-deuce tactics defensively in case a GCI-controlled MiG uses terrain to sneak up on you and pops up from below and behind, which was often the case over North Vietnam. We'll take things up a notch in Mission 6, 2 Phantoms against 2 F-86s. We'll practice 2 scenarios. In the first one, the bandits will be using welded wing tactics, so the wingman sticks to his leader to cover him. In the second one, the bandits will use more fluid and advanced tactics. The fighters will try and outflank their formation, then the bogies may only spot and attack one of the fighters, or split up, each of them attacking a different fighter. You learn how to best counter each scenario. As we progress in the campaign, missions get more and more randomized, so it's worth playing them a couple of times. Hop 7 is a 2v-UNC, 2 Phantoms against an unknown number and type of bandits. This is a much more realistic scenario than a known 2v1 or 2v2 because over North Vietnam, you can never be sure how many bandits you'll encounter. Just like in real life, you'll be required to visually identify the bogies before firing. You may stick together or send your wingman ahead to VID while you set up for the shot, or the other way around. The number and position of the bandits is highly randomized, and so is the way they approach the merge. There may or may not be pop-up bandits somewhere, and your wingman may or may not spot them. There are nearly 200 different ways this one can play out, and that's only up until the merge. So you'll need to replay the mission quite a few times before the same thing happens twice. Hop 8 is the last air-to-air mission, 4 Phantoms against an unknown number and type of bandits. What I explained before about randomization is even more true about this one. Also, the bandits may use typical MiG defensive tactics, such as a Heatblur circle, but then again, they may not. This brings us to Hop 9, the air-to-ground part of the syllabus. Yes, initially there was an air-to-ground part at Topgun, but then it was soon removed. To be honest, I didn't find much info about this part, so I added 2 exercises based on Vietnam War memoirs. The first is a high-altitude, 45-degree release dive bombing as a 4-ship formation, in perfect sync with each other in the pattern. See, during training they practiced dropping their bombs at a low altitude, but in Vietnam, due to the AAA threat, you couldn't really go lower than 4,000 or 5,000 feet AGL, which meant you had to release at a higher altitude, which was a lot harder to do. Then, you'll practice loft delivery of a simulated nuclear weapon. You approach at 100 feet over the desert, pull up, and if all parameters are met, the bomb releases just at the right time, keeps going up, then arcs down right at the target. But by then you hauled ass and egressed into safety. Mission 10 is your graduation hop, a live missile exercise, aka Missile X, at the Point Mugu range. The Free Caucasus map will standing for California, you'll be over the ocean anyway. It will follow the exact procedures used at real-life missile exercises, and you'll be allowed to hit and kill the drone, if you can, which will be a remote-controlled QF-86. Throughout the course, you'll learn a lot about your missiles, and now's the time you can put everything you learned into practice. Just don't mess it up. What about missions 11 and 12?
That's classified.
It's what?
It's classified. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Let them be a surprise if you make it this far in the campaign. Alright, I hope you found this interesting and you're excited about my upcoming MIG Killers campaign. Don't forget to subscribe for further updates. See ya!